Good morning, friends. We are going to see the topic on capital budgeting. Now, from the subject Introduction to Management Accounting, the topic capital budgeting is very much important in case of planning for new projects. In this particular topic, we are going to see today sources of capital, cost of capital, capital budgeting, and capital investment. Let us see first of all, we see different sources of capital. Now, when we see sources of capital, there are three sources of capital. One is equity capital, second is preference capital, and last is debt. Equity capital means the capital or the shares which are not preference shares, the shares which have no preferential rights of payment of dividend or repayment of capital on liquidation. Preference shares means such shares or preference capital means such capital which has preference over equity shareholders in payment of dividend and repayment of capital on liquidation. Debt means some loans which are taken at a certain rate of interest and certain amount of installment for a certain specific period. So when we say sources of capital, there are three sources: equity capital, preference capital, and debt. Let us see nature of these sources of capital. What is nature of it? Let us see. First, when we say equity capital, it is the risk capital. Why risk capital? Because for payment of dividend on it or for repayment of capital, there is no specific guarantee. So it is risk capital. When we say preference capital, it has lesser risk as compared with equity capital and more risk as compared with debt. Why? Because preference shareholders have preferential rights of payment of dividend at a fixed rate and repayment of capital on liquidation, but not like debt. After payment of debts, if there are money, preference shareholders would get. Then, when we say debt, there is no risk because certain security is there for debt, certain agreements are there, so payment of interest at specific period and periodical installments are always there. So there is no risk in case of debt. Then as far as return is concerned, on equity share capital, no fixed rate of dividend is there. Dividend rates fluctuates as per the profit situation and directors' thoughts. Sometimes there may not be any dividend on equity share capital. It can happen in certain situations. As far as preference capital is concerned, there is specific or fixed rate of dividend which is paid on preference share capital. As far as debt is concerned, fixed rate of interest is paid on debt. Then when we say about refund, equity capital is not refundable except when there is buyback. That time equity capital is refunded because company is purchasing their own shares. Preference capital is refundable after a certain period of time. Preference shares are redeemed. Then debt capital, it is always refundable at certain installments or during a specific period. So as far as refund is concerned, equity share capital is not refundable except in exceptional cases it is refundable. Preference capital and debt capital all are refundable. Then as far as right of management is concerned, equity capital, equity shareholders are owners of the company, so they have right to manage the company. Preference capital, no right of management is there. They are not owners of the company. Debt capital, they have no right of management because they are just creditors. They are providing loans only at specific interest and on specific terms. So they are not owners. Then security. For equity shareholders, there is no security. For preference share capital, there is no security. But debt, in normal situation, debt is provided at specific security, maybe some asset or something else. Then tax benefit. Equity shareholders do not get any tax benefit. Same way preference shareholders don't get tax benefit. But yes, in case of debt, there is tax benefit on interest. Then status on liquidation. On liquidation, debt is having preference over preference share capital. Preference capital has preference over equity share capital, and equity capital is the last claimant in case of liquidation. Means first debts are paid, then preference shareholders funds are paid, and at last if something remaining, it is paid to the equity shareholders. So equity capital is the last claimant. Let us go towards next part, that is cost of capital. Now cost of capital means nothing but the risk adjusted discount rate. It is the interest rate organization use for discounting future cash flows. The cost of capital is the return the organization must earn on its investment in order to meet investors' return requirement. When we see from the financial perspective, when the organization expects to earn less than its cost of capital from a proposed investment, it should return the funds. If the organization expects to earn more than its cost of capital from a proposed investment is desirable, any surplus earned increases shareholders' wealth. Cost of capital is the benchmark the organization uses to evaluate the investment proposal. Cost of capital reflects cost of equity, debt in its financial structure. The most widely used concept is weighted average cost of capital, which is calculated. The desired rate of return is the weighted average cost of capital, or you can say the opportunity cost, whichever is higher. The desired rate of return is called the cut-off rate or hurdle rate, or you can say discount rate. Let us see one example. If A Limited is company, finance 20% by debt with 8% per annum rate, 15% finance is by preference share capital, 11% is the rate, and 30% by equity capital, 16% may be rate, and 35% there are retained earnings, say reserves, with cost of 14%. Tax rate is 45%. How we will calculate weighted average cost? Let us see. Debt 8% into weightage 20%. On debt there is tax benefit, so from it tax rate which is given 45% that deduct, so it will remain 0.044 into weight 0.20, it will come 0.0088. Then if you say preference capital, it is 0.11, weight is 0.15, it is 15%. So 0.11 into 0.15, 0.165. Then equity capital 0.16 is rate, it is 30%. So 0.16 into 0.30, 0.048. And retained earning 0.14 is rate, it is 35%. So 0.14 into 0.35, it is 0.049. So if you take total of this, rate will come 12.23%. As far as we can say, the cost of capital is 12.23%. Means what? Whatever all sources of capital taken, may be equity, preference, debt or retained earning, total it, divide by whatever return we are paying, then we will get weightage average cost of that. As simple as that. Then let us go towards next part, that is capital budgeting, which is the own title of this particular topic. What is capital budgeting? Capital budgeting is nothing but planning the deployment of available capital for the purpose of maximizing long-term profitability of the firm. It is the decision to invest its current funds most efficiently in long-term activities in anticipation of flow of future benefits over a series of years. Capital budgeting is nothing but the process of identifying, analyzing and selecting investment projects whose returns, cash flows are expected to extend beyond 1 year. Investment decisions would include expansion, acquisition, modernization, replacement of long-term assets. All these are investment decisions. Let us see. Capital budgeting decisions means decisions relating to planning for capital assets in order to see whether or not money should be invested in long-term projects. For example, setting up factory or purchase of new machine. It involves financial analysis of various proposals regarding capital expenditure to choose the best out of various alternatives. The capital budgeting decision involves a current year outflow or a series of cash outflow over a number of years in return for anticipated flow of future returns over a period of time longer than 1 year. There is relatively long time period between initial outlay and anticipated returns. Now let us see nature of capital investment. How capital investment is there. Capital budgeting decision include acquisition, replacement, expansion, modernization of asset. Any investment decision with long-term implication can be looked at capital expenditure decision. When a pharmaceutical company, say, decide to invest in research and development, car manufacturing company considers investment in its new plant, or let us say airline plans to buy a fleet of aircraft, bank plans to computerization, firm plans to launch a new product line. What happens? It requires capital budget for that. All these are capital budgeting decisions. These decisions are very difficult. It requires huge capital outlay. Long-term consequences are there of these decisions. Higher degree of risk is involved. These decisions benefit future periods. They have effect of increasing capacity, efficiency, span of life. Regarding future benefits, funds are invested in long-term activities. Let us go towards next part, that is capital budgeting projects. Now, when we say capital budgeting projects, there are certain projects which requires more or huge outlay of capital. Let us see which are they. Mutually exclusive proposals are there, independent investment proposals, contingent investment proposal, replacement proposals, modernization decision, expansion decisions, diversification decision. Let us see. First is mutually exclusive proposals. Now, what is mean by mutually exclusive proposals? In case of mutually exclusive proposals, the selection of one proposal precludes the choice of other proposals. The calculation of cash outflow and inflow are similar replacement situation. These proposals compete with each other. For example, X Limited considering purchase of machine X or machine Y. If the company has decided to purchase machine X, it will exclude the acceptance of machine Y. Vice versa, if it decide to purchase machine Y, it will exclude the purchase of machine X. Means what? It is mutually exclusive. If one is accepted, other is rejected. Second is independent investment proposals. It includes all such investments which are being considered by management for performance of different type of task. Investment in machinery, automobiles, buildings, recreation centers, all are examples of independent investment proposals. Acceptance of each of these projects is done on its merit without depending on other project. So, when independent investment proposal we say investment in machinery, automobiles, building, recreation center, all these examples. There is independent, no mutually exclusive. Selection from 2, selection from 3, like that is not there. Specifics there. Investment in machinery or investment in building, etc. Then third is contingent investment proposals. Contingent investment proposals are certain projects which are contingent upon the acceptance of others. For example, management of a company may contemplate to build employee quarters and customer cooperative store. It decides to construct the quarters, need of consumer store does not arise. If only quarters are constructed, employees will have problem with shopping. Such projects are called contingent projects. Means what? If employees quarter are there is no facility for purchasing goods and services, that is customer cooperative store, then where will they go? They have to go at long distance. They will not be satisfied. So it is contingent. When there are employee quarters, there should be consumer cooperative store, and consumer cooperative store has no value without staff quarter, because if employees are not living there, who will come and purchase goods and services at consumer cooperative stores? So this is contingent, one is related with other, that is called contingent investment proposals. Then next is replacement proposals. The investment which are contemplated for replacing old equipment in order to perform job more effectively, efficiently. There are certain replacements are made. Let us see one example. If our existing machine we are going to replace with new one, the relevant cash outflows after tax should be considered. If new machine is to replace the existing machine, amount received from sale proceed reduce the cash outflow required to purchase new machine. Calculation of cash outflow is such a case is like this maybe. Let us see how it is. If we are going to purchase a new machine, then cost of new machine is there, cost of installation is there, working capital requirement may increase, and from that we have to deduct sale proceed of existing machine. Then we have to give effect of depreciation, written down value of existing machine. In that we have to add cost of acquiring new machine, and we have to deduct sale proceeds of existing machine. From that we will get whether we are in at profit or loss in replacing that machine. If we are at profit, then we can accept that replacement proposal. Let us go towards next, modernization decisions. Replacement of fixed asset due to technological obsolescence is known as modernization decision. Purpose of it is to improve the efficiency, reduce cost. Let us see example. Replacement of computer with next generation computer. Old generation computer which is not having certain functions being replaced by new generation computer having more functions, more suitable for our work, giving more good effects. That is what is modernization decision. It can happen in case of machinery, it can happen in case of furniture, it will be there for business house or that particular building, facilities, computers or production technology. Next is expansion decisions. Increasing the existing production capacity is known as expansion decisions. If our machine working for 24 hours able to produce 2000 units per day, if we increase the capacity from 2000 to 4000 units per day, it is nothing but expansion. Why it is done? It is done because we have to give quick delivery of goods and services to customers. We have to increase revenue. We have to increase sale. Next is diversification decision. Commencement of new product, new service line is called as diversification decision. Purpose is to reduce the risk of reduction in the revenue of existing product or service. When we say example, Larsen and Toubro company is diversified in insurance business. That is what is called as diversification. When we are expanding our capacity in same product line, it is called as expansion. When we are entering in some different product line, it is known as diversification. When our business is of production unit, instead of 4000 unit per day capacity, we are expanding it to 8000 unit per day of television, you can say it is expansion. When we say diversification, then we are producing televisions. With that, we start our business in hotel industry. It is diversification, totally different sector we are entering in. So in this particular lecture, we have taken into consideration which are the sources of capital, what is cost of capital, what is capital budgeting, and which are the different decisions related with capital investment. We are going to stop here. Thank you.